Alright, welcome. I'm making a second video. I've just looked at some test scores, and so I thought I need to make a test review so you can actually watch me do some problems. So that's what I'm going to do here. This is for the common assessment, and I'll answer this question right off the bat. I will add an attempt, so that if you've already completed it but now watch this video and want to do it again, you can do so. So I'm going to go to Chapter 7 for our test review, or for the common assessment. Here it is. It's located right here, the common assessment, and if you notice, if you've been to this folder already, I now have a practice test right here. It's 3 questions, and so I'm about to work this through with you, kind of giving you an idea of what I would suggest you do. I need to preview it for you. You just click on it and take it. And so I'm going to take this practice test. So it says question 1. What is the equation of a parabola with focus of 2, -1, and a directrix of y equals 15? Now what I've been recommending for you is to use those Desmos links. And so if you don't have those Desmos links, I'm going to go back here, I'm going to hit Control, I'm going to click on this, I'm going to open it in a new tab, and I'm going to go back to Chapter 7 so I can have those links. I'll click the Common Assessment folder again, and here's what it tells me. I have a parabola, and these are all standard form. Now general form, so you know, is when it looks like this without the parentheses. This is standard form. So I'm going to choose a standard form parabola. So I'm going to come over here, and let's just say I don't know if it's horizontal or vertical. Well, what I would do is I would click the first and see how the equation looks. Does it come with a x squared or a y squared? You see how this one has a y squared? That means it's not the right equation. So I'm going to go back, and I'm going to choose the vertical parabola. Now the equation, once it loads, has an x squared. Let's check that one more time with the question. Yeah, that has an x squared. So these all are x squared with a -2 in the inside. So the minus is already there, so h itself is a 2 value. So I'm going to go over and make this just to be a +2. There's h of 2. And now I have the y values. Let's just say I don't know what I'm doing at all. So I'm going to try 7. So I want it to be y minus 7. Since the minus is already in the equation, that means k itself is 7. So I'm going to go to a k of 7. So I have that there. Now I need my directrix here. This is the directrix. According to the problem, the directrix needs to be at 15. Whoops, sorry. I'm looking, it's not up to 15 yet. It needs to be up at 15. Well, let's talk about the p-value. On this first equation, I have a 8 in this place, where in this problem it says it's 4p. So the way you solve for it is 4 times some number has to give me 8. So you can just take 8 and divide it by 4. Now if you don't know what that is, here's what I'm doing. 8 divided by 4. This will tell me what p is. P is 2. So I'm going to come down here and make my p-value be 2. And I check that. Does this give me the right values? My directrix, no, it's not. It's in the wrong place, and I'm going to have a problem here. I just realized in my test that I need to change all these to negatives. I had this facing the wrong way. That's what happens when you try to do something real fast. But either way, let me try making this a negative real quick instead of a p being a +2. When you see this problem, when you open up your practice exam, what's going to be different is I'm going to put a negative in front of all of these to make my equations right. And so now we would say, instead of doing the 8 divided by, it'll say a -8 on yours, so you'd have a -8 divided by 4. This is now how I'm getting the p. And it'll say -2. Okay, so I put -2 in. I look at my directrix. Is it up at 15? It's not. Nor is my focus in the right spot. According to this, the focus needs to be 2, -1. When I click this focus right here, it says it's 2, 5. So that's not it. So I'm going to try a different value. So I'm going to try the next one, which is 16. Again, it'll be -16 when you open this up once I correct this. And so I'm going to make this, instead of it being a -8 divided by 4, it's now going to be a -16 divided by 4. That means my p needs to be -4. So when I change this to a -4, check the picture. Is this down at 2, -1? No, it's not. Nor is my directrix yet at 15. So I go to the next equation, which will be a -32. When I try a -32, I'm going to now change, let's say this is a -32. I divide it by the 4 that's sitting right there to figure out what does p have to be. It has to be a -8, so I try -8. When I try -8, I now check my values. Uh-oh, look at there. We got a directrix at the y of 15. That's the y-axis. That's why it's y equals 15. And I have a focus right here, which is at 2, -1. That's exactly what I needed it to be. A y of 15 and 2, -1. So this would be my correct answer. And I'll move on. Now, one thing that's going to be a little bit different on the test is you'll have one question per page. So there's that one. I just did it on the review so you can see all of them at once. Let's try number 2. Now notice the time's ticking down. You're going to have a certain time limit, so I better hurry up and do these. I want a circle to be located at -3, 5. Now I'm going to do a little algebra to eliminate an option. If the center is at -3, 5, when you put it inside, parentheses we learned all year, inside lies. So this is going to lie, and so the -3 is going to become a +3, and a +5 is going to become a -5. So it's going to be either A or B. And it says it needs to be tangent to the x-axis, which I put a note. Tangent to the x-axis means it perfectly touches the x-axis at the center of the circle. So let's try this equation, and I'm going to switch equations here, switch graphs. So I'm no longer going to be, and then I'm going to go to ellipses, which is ellipses and circles. I need to throw that in there. And notice that they have these values underneath. The way you get a circle is when A and B are the same value. And so over here, our first value is 9 on this side. That means we need 9 to be in the denominator of both of these. So what value squared is 9? The answer is 3. So I'm going to put an A of 3 and a B of 3. And now I want my H to be at 3. I want this equation to be at 3, what was it, -5? No, -3, 5. That's where I want the center to be. So -3, 5. And now, does this perfectly touch the x-axis? The answer is no. So it's not going to be this value. It's not going to be with an A of 3 and a B of 3. Now let's try the second option. It says 25. So I'm going to change this to a 25. And now look, perfectly touches. The center is at -3, 5. So we found this answer to be B. And now the last one. This is general form. Hang on one second. Hey kids, I need you to go play out there, okay? Because Daddy said. And so now the last one, I'm going to go to general form. This is a general form problem. So I'm going to go to my graphs, and I'm going to change this to be a general form conic, please. And so now I have this, and now I got to match it like this equation. So I have nothing in front of y squared. So the A here needs to be a 0. B needs to be 0. My C needs to be a +1 because I had 1y squared. A -4x. So the D, which is in front of x, needs to be -4. I believe the E was also -4. And finally, a +8 at the end, which is F, +8. And I'm just going to type it in. 8. So here's the picture, and I ask, what is the p-value? And so you'll go down key attributes. The p-value is 1. And so you would type in here 1. Now that I think I have the answer, I would hit submit, and that's how you would get your grade. So notice you just have to finish it in this amount of time. You cannot leave and come back. It's not resumable, so you need to make sure you leave this open as you work on it. Again, I've added an extra attempt, so if you've already taken the test, but now that I've helped you out on how to do this, you can go back and take it again.